Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 423 of the No Sugarcoating Podcast. For those of you that reside in Canada, happy Canada Day weekend. For those of you that are in the United States of America, our lovely neighbors to the south, happy Independence Day. I hope you are thoroughly enjoying yourself. And for those of you that live elsewhere that are not in North America, I hope you are enjoying your summer, your winter, wherever you live, depending where that is. And I'm just sending you so much love. Let me just take a moment and send love. I hope you receive it and feel it. It is just a beautiful day. I love July. It's my birthday month. It's my birthday on July 10th. So we're coming up in a few days. I'm excited to celebrate another year around the sun. I'll probably end up doing a what 35 taught me, what the year taught me, because holy has it been a ride, and have I ever been in energetic and spiritual mastery this year and mindset mastery on a whole other level that I never thought possible. So I'll probably share a lot of those things with you, get deep, raw, and vulnerable as usual, and hopefully it'll provide some relatability and some inspiration. So this week I really wanted to, it's like sometimes I just get downloads of like, ooh, this is really important for you to talk about this week. So I want to really break down 5 steps to take after a binge happens, or emotional eating. It doesn't matter, whatever it is, but if you hear me say binge or emotional eating, I'm usually referring to both. So we're going to break down 5 key things for you to do after you binge or emotionally eat. And then I want to explore why you're still stuck in sabotage with food. What are the things in the way that you may or may not know are contributing? I really want to break those down for you. And then, okay, let's overcome binge and emotional eating for good. How do we do that? Where do we start? What does that get to look like? Okay, so we're going to dive into all of that right away. I do have a couple quick things that I want to share with you because we're a week out from my birthday. Okay, so get ready. Special announcement. You don't want to miss this because next Sunday, July 9th, something special is dropping. Okay, so to celebrate my birthday, which is Monday, July 10th, I'm going to drop Amber's birthday sale. Okay, so it's going to be 50% off of everything in the online store. All paid masterclasses, either a Body Freedom memberships 3-month or 6-month are 50% off, as well as if you want to do a month and pay 50% off that. Amazing deal. I'll talk more about details next week. Freedom from emotional eating self-study, hormone harmony self-study, as well as the VIP hormone harmony, everything in the store is 50% off from July 9th to 16th. So if you want to come and shop, and you can I'll share the code next week, what the code's going to be, and it'll be in the newsletter and social media and everywhere, so you won't miss it. But you'll be able to buy as many things as you want with a code. Okay, so you'll be able to shop. And I'm also going to drop 2 new mini courses and programs that will drop end of August and October. One is going to be skin, acne, all the different reasons why you have skin issues. And the other is going to be on quitting sugar and how to overcome sugar cravings, addiction, etc. So those are also going to be 50% off. So if you want to get in pre-sale and get it in now, you're going to be able to do so. And you're also going to get some epic bonuses that will keep you busy before we dive into skin in August and the sugar, kicking sugar. Those aren't the formal names, but just you get it in October. So you're going to have some things to keep you busy and dive into. That'll be like bonus things for you to dive into first. So all of that is going to be in the 50% off Amber's birthday sale. And I'm going to be doing a couple of really cool giveaway drops through the week as well. So you'll have a chance to win some really cool stuff. And I'll share more details next Sunday. So stay tuned for the code for 50% off. That will be good for the week. So you can do all your shopping, get all the programs and courses to help you on your journey to food and body freedom. And of course, for those of you who have been listening, you've been hearing me talk about the one-on-one coaching savings. So because it's my birthday soon, I've been offering a $1,000 savings off of the 6-month one-on-one coaching programs and $2,000 off of the 1 year. And I'm going to keep that for the next couple of weeks. For any of you who are interested and you know that it's time for you to come forth, you are relating to what I'm talking about in these episodes, you're wanting to heal your relationship with food, you're wanting to face the binge and emotional eating and understand your triggers and overcome them, you're wanting to get the rooted answers of the roots of your weight loss blocks, your hormone imbalances, your bloating and gut issues, you're wanting to master your mindset, master your ego. Maybe for you're wanting to embrace your empath and learn how to manage your energy. You're wanting support through this most chaotic yet ascension-based time on this planet, where you want to just be standing stronger in yourself and stop the people pleasing, the perfection, and stopping the fight with your body. And you want to feel more peace of mind, more freedom with food, your body, you want to feel more optimal and energized, well, this is for you. So you are welcome to book your 30-minute body freedom consultation. You can go to amberapproved.ca and click schedule a consultation, or you can email me info@amberapproved.ca and you can connect and we can chat and see what you need and see what path feels best for you. And I'm really excited to connect and support you on your journey. So all the details for today are in the show notes at amberapproved.ca/podcast/423. So the birthday sale, 50% off everything. The online store starts on Sunday, July 9th. Stay tuned for the code and the other juicy details with bonus giveaways. Oh my gosh. And of course, the birthday savings on the one-on-one coaching is available for the next couple of weeks. So thank you for listening. Sometimes the intro is a little bit because there's cool stuff and I don't want you to miss out. And you'd probably be not happy if I didn't mention it in the podcast. So here we are. Oh, and there is a wicked 3-part triggers masterclass series that I did a couple months ago, and that'll be 50% off. So talk about like us going into binge eating and emotional eating today. That would be one that I would definitely want to scoop up if I was with you and you want to take advantage of the 50% off. Anyways, 5 steps to take after a binge happens or emotional eating. Okay. So you just binged. And maybe you want to pull out a journal because you can do some writing here. You can do some journaling, or you can write some of these questions down and you can always come back to them later after you finish this episode. You probably are going to want to actually listen to this episode more than once because you're going to have different takeaways, different reflections, different aha moments, right? But you just binged, you just emotionally ate. How are you feeling? What are you feeling? I think it's so important that we become aware of that. Are you bloated? Do you feel really uncomfortable? Are you in pain, right? Physically, do you have brain fog now? Are you puffy? Do you feel like you've gained weight? Are your pants fitting tight? Do you feel angry at yourself? Do you feel immense guilt? Do you feel hopeless? Like, oh my gosh, I don't feel like I'm ever going to be able to stop this. It just feels so much bigger than me and what I can change. Do you feel resentment towards yourself because you said you wouldn't do it again and here you are? But what are you feeling? Do you feel your frequency drop? What are you feeling? And that's like a pre-bonus to the 5 steps to take after a binge. This is like the bonus before we get into the 5 other things is be aware of how you're feeling. Because it's so important for us to understand the significant impact that the self-sabotage with food has on us. Because one of the reasons we keep repeating the pattern, it's not necessarily because you want to do it. I know you don't want to hurt yourself. I know you don't want to hurt your body. I didn't either. Okay. It was not intentional. It's not like I need to go eat to hurt myself and punish. It's like, I need a break. I need to feel a bit of pleasure and euphoria. And this is the only way I know how to give it to myself. I need to feel good right now. And eating this is the only way that it's going to make me do so. I get it. That was the intent, was to try and reward and make myself feel good, but it just ended up doing the opposite. But it's important to understand that we have a pleasure center in the brain called the hippocampus that stores pleasure memories of when you're anticipating the binge or emotional eating, you're anticipating eating the food, and when you start eating it. And then that is the memory that gets stored. So the next time you're sad or upset or bored or whatever the trigger is, you associate that emotion with that behavior with food, and then it lights up the part of the brain, and then you think, oh, I'm going to feel so good. But there's no part of the brain that stores the memories of how bloated and in pain and how angry and hopeless or frustrated or, low that you feel thereafter. So that's one of the reasons why the cycle keeps on repeating, is because your brain's literally wired to remind you of pleasure moments and memories, even if they were not actually necessarily like empowering ones that are supporting your greatest good. So being aware, write that down first. I think that's really important to understand because it's something that will help you when you're in the middle of trying to fight your way through a trigger and not give into it. So 5 steps to take after a binge happens. So after that, allow yourself to feel. I think it's so important that we don't just go, I did that and I'm going to just shove it all away and not think about it again. I think it's so important that you do spend a few minutes and just let yourself feel the anger, feel the frustration, feel the judgment, feel the guilt. Because if you allow yourself to feel, you're actually going to help some of it come out of the body, versus if you just binge, shove all your emotions down, feel a bunch of crappy emotions coming up, but then go, no, I've got to suppress. I need to go to bed. I need to turn the TV on. I need to distract myself. Can you be present for a few moments and just feel? Because it's going to help you become more present to, wow, like I created me to feel this way. Do I want to continue to do that? Do I want to do that again and make myself feel that way? And the more present we are to the feelings and emotions, the more we think twice about doing it again. But allow yourself to feel, allow yourself, to just be with what you're feeling. Maybe you're really present to how bloated you are and the pain, and you don't deserve it, right? Like, I really want you to know that I don't think if we, punish ourselves with food or whatever it is, that we deserve to suffer. No, none of us deserve to suffer. No one on this planet deserves to suffer unless you've done really bad thing. Well, no, we're not even going to go there. Georgios, can you delete that part? The suffering part. No one on this earth deserves to suffer unless you've done really bad things. Yeah, we'll just delete that. No one deserves to suffer. Even if you're doing this to yourself, you don't deserve to suffer. It's innocent. You don't mean to do it. And I really want to reassure you of that it's not your fault. And this is so complex and so deep. So allow yourself to feel a bit, become present, because it's just going to help remind you in those moments of temptation, like, is it really worth it? I think it's also important, as we're feeling what we are, that we take some steps to support our digestion. So that's the next step, is really, how can you support your digestion? Maybe you're too full to like really consume a lot of anything, but maybe you make it peppermint, ginger, or a turmeric tea, and you just take small sips, and it helps with inflammation. It helps with discomfort, right? Just small little sips. Maybe you take a ginger capsule. Maybe you take a digestive enzyme. Maybe you chew on a mint leaf, but just something that's going to help ease some of the pain, discomfort, or bloating if you're feeling that, right? I think that's really important, is that we do something kind for ourselves. Maybe it's not consuming anything, and maybe you take peppermint essential oil and you do some, you rub your abdomen and just give that back to yourself. I think it's important, even if we do binge or emotionally eat, to take steps to do like positive things for ourselves, and not continue to be hard on ourselves and like engage in further punishment. It's like, okay, I did that. Didn't mean to do it, but I did. So now what are some, kind things that I can do for myself to counter this, right? And make up for it as I try to figure out and navigate this journey. This is something I can do for myself. The third thing is grab a journal and reflect on what just happened, right? Awareness is one of the first things that you have to build to help you overcome binge or emotional eating, or any kind of emotional relationship with food for that matter. If you're just rushing through everything and you're not taking any time to pause and understand or build awareness around what's going on, not a lot is going to change. You can't buy a pill of quick fix your way through this. You can't just, willpower is not going to stop it. So are you willing to pause and look at what happened? You're like, well, Amber, I don't know what happened. How am I supposed to figure it out? Well, start reflecting. Did I not drink enough water today? And maybe that triggered me. Did I not eat enough today? Did I have a lot of processed food over the weekend, and so that made my cravings bigger? Did I have a stressful interaction the last few days? Have I not been sleeping well? Is there certain tempting foods in the house that just trigger me really easily? Was I bored? Did you watch something on TV or the news or whatever it is that made you nervous or made you stressed? Did you get on the scale and you didn't like the number that you saw? But start reflecting on, okay, like what was the buildup that triggered me to go to food? Pull out that journal, write about it. And maybe one thing that shows up, it may be 10 pages, but start writing it down, start building awareness, start reflecting, because the more you can start to understand the things that led up to the trigger, well, number one, you can make a list of triggers, which we'll talk about right away. And number two, you're going to better understand things that you want to make sure you're giving yourself, like hydration. And ideally, maybe you want to work on your sleep hygiene if that's a trigger, and that will help prevent triggers, right? And it'll get to the point where you're not binging or emotionally eating anymore. And even if you didn't drink enough water in the day or you didn't sleep well, you will not go to food. Like, I don't go to food. And I've had, last year was like a whole year of sleep deprivation because of the old noisy neighbors. Horrible. But I didn't go to food. I knew how to cope through it. But I was tired. Right. So you just learn how to cope in other ways and give yourself what you really need instead of going to food. So what's happening? What's going on? Okay. Number 4, be willing to forgive yourself. Holding a grudge actually can become an emotional eating trigger. If you stay hard on yourself, if you keep beating yourself up because of what you did and you're not willing to let go of it, it actually can just turn into a whole other binge trigger. And then maybe you binge the next day or you binge later that day again. So can you forgive yourself? Like, I'm sorry that I did this. This is why I'm sorry. Maybe then you want to go into like, this is what this experience taught me. I'm forgiving myself. I'm letting it go. I'm going to have more love and compassion for myself. I'm human. I'm learning. I don't know what I don't know, and it's okay. I'm going to get there. Right. And you encourage yourself that by taking the time to really understand these things, it's going to really help you on your journey. Right. But be willing to forgive yourself, because holding grudges against yourself and others for that matter, but you and yourself right now, it's not going to help you heal. It's not going to help you fill your void. It's not going to help you overcome this. It's just going to keep you stuck, because the ego wants you to stay stuck. The ego doesn't want you to forgive, and the ego wants you to hold the grudge against yourself because it knows that you'll stay out of your power rather than taking it back. And number 5 is start making a list of triggers. So from reflecting and seeing what happened and what led up to triggering you to go to food, you create a list of triggers. So you write down the things that you know trigger you to go to food. And the more you accumulate your list, the easier it is going to be for you to catch those triggers or check in on them and with them. And that will help to start to prevent the triggers. And maybe you're going, I already let myself feel. I already reflect on what happens. I try to forgive myself. I have the list of triggers. It's still happening. Okay. So this is bonus number 6. If this is all still happening, have you considered getting support? Because sometimes support is one of the most powerful investments and steps we can make to really deal with something that we don't fully understand, and working with someone that has the expertise and knowledge, ideally as well, the personal experience that can walk with you each step of the way and help provide you with the tools, the coaching, support, loving accountability, a safe space for you to come and really address and understand this and get the missing pieces of the puzzle that you don't have. And the person can see you to full freedom. Like it's just a blessing to witness women to this full freedom on a regular basis. And I've been there. Like the way that I figured out these 5 steps, 6 steps is by doing them myself. Right. And obviously it took time and it took lots of patience and failures and ups and downs, but I didn't give up. And I think that's the other thing, is don't give up. The biggest failure to me is not failing. It's giving up on yourself or your belief that you can, that you can't overcome this. Like that is the only failure to me, is giving up. Never give up. If you haven't been able to overcome this yet and you've been dealing with it for a long time, it's not because there's something wrong with you. It's because there's likely there's missing pieces of the puzzle you don't have yet. And if you're continuing to just try things like fasting, diets, quick fixes, willpower to fix this, you're going to stay stuck, because it's such a deeper journey and there's so many layers and complexities to this. And that's where getting the support and really being willing to do the emotional work is important. Okay. So to recap, allow yourself to feel, support your digestion, grab the journal and reflect and see what happened, forgive yourself, make the list of triggers. Great places to start. So why are you still stuck in sabotage with food? Whether or not you've done these things or are trying these things, let's explore that, because I think it's really important that I help you as much as I can to identify maybe some of the things that are keeping you stuck in the cycle. And you know me, I've always got to have some water with my electrolytes here. Side note, really important ascension tip. I feel like I'm going to have to record a whole new episode on ascension and ascension symptoms again, because we're literally going through an ascension on the planet. But electrolytes in your water, pink and gray sea salt, Celtic salt, liquid minerals, all really important to support this ascension. Increase in frequency, increase in consciousness. For those of you, you'll know what I'm talking about. And those that are curious, I have done an episode on it. So you can go to emberproof.ca/podcast, search ascension, and it will come up. I just can't remember the episode number off the top of my head, but stay tuned for a lot more of that, because things are, I think, going to really up level on the planet in the next 6 to 12 to 18 months. So even better of a reason to work on healing your relationship with food. And this is why a lot of people are getting faced with this right now and are starting to feel less tolerant to these kinds of behaviors and habits, because as you ascend and as you increase in frequency and your consciousness expands, right? Like you're evolving as a soul. We're less tolerant to old behaviors that don't serve us anymore. And so it just gets to the point where we're like, I'm done tolerating this. I want to deal with this. I'm going to work on overcoming it, or I'm going to get help to do so. So this is probably coming up for a lot of you because it's too dense and heavy of behavior to bring as the planet continues to ascend. Increasing frequency, vibration, spending more time in love, respect, right? Compassion, forgiveness. This is where we're headed. I know it may not look like that right now on the planet, depending on your views, but regardless of your views, it doesn't really matter. I have love for all of you. We're on an ascension pathway, which is really exciting. So why are you still stuck in sabotage with food? Okay. One of the biggest things, you are not aware of all of your triggers. You may know some of them, but I can guarantee you, and after 10 years of experience and the own personal experience of having like 50 triggers, you probably don't know all your triggers. And it's not because you're not intelligent and an incredible person. You totally are. It's just that like there's so many and they're sneaky. And some days we can have 8 triggers at once with little sub triggers underneath. And if you don't know this, how are you supposed to catch it all? And if you don't know all of your triggers, how are you supposed to catch them all? You may know boredom's a trigger. You may know sugar is a trigger. You may know having a stressful day is a trigger, or poor sleep. But you may not know that you have significant hormone imbalances that are triggering emotional eating and you don't know the connections. You may not know that people pleasing is a massive emotional eating trigger, because once you are people pleasing and you're overbooked, you get overwhelmed and then that triggers you to go to food. You may not know that there's hidden ingredients in some of the things you're eating that are literally triggering you to lose control. You may not know that your ego is a massive emotional eating trigger and that it enables and encourages and justifies why you should. And then it gets really hard on you after you do self-sabotage. So when we don't know all of our triggers or we don't know how to build awareness around understanding what they are or how to navigate them, we just keep in the behavior because it's hard to change when we don't know what it is. And then we don't know how to give ourselves what we really need instead. So this is where, honestly, one of the first things I do with my clients is we go through emotional eating triggers. And I encourage you, I'll put the link to the online store into the show notes for the podcast, amberproof.ca/podcast/423. So you can go to the online store early and you can see everything that's going to be like everything on that page is going to be 50% off. And then that way you can like scope out the stuff you're going to want to get, including the 3-part triggers masterclass series, which literally we spend an entire 90 minutes going through just emotional eating triggers, and then a whole 90 minutes going through physical emotional eating triggers, and then the all or nothing diet mentalities, etc. on day 3. Like, I think there was probably like 75 or 80 triggers I went through, right? And people were mind blown just by how many there can be, and each individual circumstance will have different triggers. So that's going to be a really potent course for you guys to take, those of you that want to start learning on your own. Because yeah, it's deep. So you don't know your triggers. Okay. So that keeps you stuck in sabotage with food. And the next is you're not, for whatever reason, you're either afraid to, or you're a procrastinator and you continue to avoid wanting to get to know your triggers, build awareness, slow down, and actually take time to see what's going on and deal with it. You're afraid, it feels uncomfortable, you don't know how, it's foreign, you have all the reasons, stories, and excuses why you can't, so you stay shut down to it. Okay. Ideally, we don't want to do that because that keeps us stuck in these behaviors, and it has a significant impact on your mental health, physical health, your energy, your frequency, like all of these aspects of who you are. And when we struggle to cope and we're using food and these different mechanisms, it makes it, honestly, it does, in my opinion, and if you don't feel this way, that's fine, but it makes it harder to just cope with life and show up the way you want to and have the quality of life you want to when this is happening, right? I used to suck at coping with life because I had no coping strategies, and I sucked at, processing through stress, and was just like always stressed about everything and negative, right? And I didn't know what I didn't know. And I didn't know I had an ego, etc. Right? So we get to shift that. I think another reason why we'll stay stuck in sabotage with food, and I recently did an episode on this, is like the denial. Like, you allow denial to come in and convince you that your emotional eating or binge behaviors aren't really that bad. It's not a big deal. Everyone's doing it, which is, please don't get onto the bandwagon where they're trying to normalize emotional eating and binge eating and like all of these things that just should never be normalized. PMS symptoms are not normal. Menopause symptoms are not normal. Emotional eating is not normal. Binge eating is not normal. Okay. Your symptoms are not normal. It's not that it's like shame on you because you have these, like, no, that's not what I'm saying, but it's like, we need to stop being told, oh, that's just normal, you just have to deal with that for the rest of your life, when there's so many things we can actually do to heal, shift, and change and gain relief and overcome the symptoms, the self-sabotage, etc. there's just certain things on this planet that I will never tolerate being normalized. And all of those are some of them. There's many other things, right? But I think it's so important that we stop being so tolerant and that we stop letting our ego convince us that a binge and emotional eating isn't a big deal, that it's not having an impact on your health, mental health, frequency, or any part of your quality of life, and that it's a crutch and it's a good coping mechanism. It's not. You're hurting yourself. Like, it's a No Sugarcoating Podcast. I am lovingly blunt. You're hurting yourself. You're hurting your body. And sometimes people need to hear it like this because it helps you light the fire under your butt. And for some of you, that might feel really triggering, and that's okay. Maybe you need to get triggered to make a change and to stop letting your ego convince you that it's not really that big of a deal. I did that. It was a freaking big deal because I was binge eating out of my garbage can, and I was eating until I was so full I was sick, and I was causing all kinds of health issues, and I was broke and unhappy and isolated at home. It was significantly impacting every area of my life, but I let my ego bring in the denial card and convince me that it wasn't for probably about a year, and then enough was enough. And I had to admit to myself that this is a big deal. This is not normal. I don't want to suffer anymore. I need to figure this out. So stop letting the denial card lead the way and let your ego do that. And if you're, like I've been talking about, if you're struggling and you know your ego is a huge block and a huge reason why you're still stuck, reach out for support. I help coach the women who reach out to me all the time, and men as well, through ego mastery. You learn how to master your ego. It will be so much easier for you to overcome self-sabotage with food, your body, whatever it is, and really learn how to take your power back and live in that way more often. And it's so freeing and liberating. Like I always say, I know there's a lot going on the planet, and I know everyone in some way is or has been impacted by a lot of the different things that have been going on. I really believe we're in an awakening. I really believe we're in an ascension, and I do believe the outcome for humanity is going to be incredible. But just like with anything, when there is a lot of junk that needs to be purged off this planet that doesn't serve humanity, things may seem a little worse before they get better, right? It's like Candida protocol, you purge all the crap, all the bacteria out. It's like it's going through the biggest Candida cleanse in the history of the planet. Anyways, but I just feel very in my power. I feel very calm. Yes, there's certain things that I see and I'm like, oh, seriously. But it's just, I feel calm inside. Like when I ask my intuition, like, is impending doom coming? My intuition's like, no, like amazing things are coming. Like keep holding your faith and holding your light and doing what you're doing and showing up and being of service, because that's why you're here. And I just trust that. Like, I'm not worried. I think there's certain things that are going to happen that are going to like probably be uncomfortable and or trigger some emotion, but I know at the end of the day, it is a great outcome and we all get to choose the timeline that we want to be on. But if I was still binge eating, I'd be a mess. Everything would just be causing me to get so triggered, and I'd be binge eating like crazy because I didn't know how to manage my emotions or detach or to go inward and trust my intuition. I trust my intuition over everything. Friendly reminder, your intuition is forged out of love. It can't deceive you, but the ego mind can, because it's been programmed into you. Very different. Okay. So be willing to get out of the way of the denial. If you are resistant to break through the denial that you're feeling that your emotional eating or binging isn't a big deal, maybe reach out and book a body freedom call, and I can coach you through that, right? And help you take your power back so that you can make the aligned decision that's actually going to support your greatest good, rather than the ego coming in and convincing you that you don't need to do anything because it's not a big deal, because it is. You deserve to heal, and you deserve to have the most incredible quality of life and health and well-being, etc. And that does require us to get the denial out of the way. Another reason you're still stuck with sabotage with food, I know sometimes I go on tangents about like spirituality and energy and the awakening, but it's like literally all happening right now, and it's so exciting. There's so much going on. That's good. Another reason why you're still stuck in sabotage with food is because you're overbooked, you're overwhelmed, and you're last on your priority list. And if you are last on your priority list and you're exhausted and you're puffy and you're gaining weight and you can't lose and you're right, you feel guilty making yourself a priority and you're people pleasing and you're trying to prove yourself because you don't feel good enough, this will keep this cycle going. It is so important that we start to understand that one of the reasons we binge or emotionally eat is tied to unworthiness, is tied to not feeling good enough, is tied to us, people pleasing, proving, trying to be perfect with food or body or in different areas of life, and that it's exhausting and it's unrealistic to be perfect. And it's exhausting to continue the people pleasing to the level that you are, and that it overwhelms your nervous system. And at some point you just go, I'm so over everything. I need a quick fix. I need a quick break. I need a moment. This is my moment with food. I don't have time for anything else but to have 5 minutes to eat this thing. I've had so many clients say that to me. It's a very familiar story, but it all comes from this unworthiness pushing you to overbook and overdo it. And then you have no time for you. And then no wonder all you have left in you is to just go to food, because you have nothing in you, because you're not giving to yourself and you're depleted. So we want to shift that. And as we shift that, we do it slowly, and we do it in a way that aligns to your schedule, because everyone has a different schedule. And I've got clients in all different lines of work and business and career and motherhood and college and university and all kinds of things. So we adapt to that, and life's always happening, and life is going to happen while you go on this journey, and that's okay. It's all part of the divine teaching for you. But as long as you're your last priority and you're letting all these behaviors like people pleasing, improving, overbooked, making you feel overwhelmed, which overwhelm is a huge binge eating trigger, and your nervous system is probably feeling a little hot wired, you keep going to food. You keep using the soothers and the quick fixes. And if you don't have any time to build awareness or understand your triggers or look at any of what's going on, how is it going to change? We do have to give some time and energy to it. We just build up to that. Okay, another reason you're still stuck is you haven't been taught about the ego mind. The ego mind is, I think I'm so grateful that I was able to start learning about it and like mastering it. And obviously I still have one and it still triggers me sometimes, but it feels so good to spend so much time living in power and peace and grounding and harmony and trust and faith. And when I give it away, I'm like, okay, there's something else for me to learn. And then I'm like, oh, I don't want to be in my ego mind right now. I just want to be happy. Right? But we have that ebb and flow of emotion, but the ego mind is not the true you, and it gets programmed into you from age 0 to 7. I actually read something really interesting. And I want to do like a whole, like how we've been programmed episode. And I'm going to read it, because it's like the best post I've ever seen on like how we're programmed as a child, and like the whole process of like our frequency and the brain and the subconscious mind, and like how just influenced we are during that time. So I'm going to record that at some point, but it's significant. But the ego mind is the negative voice that wants you to procrastinate, pushes you into all or nothing, tells you you're not good enough, tells you that you have to eat perfectly. And this is all BS. You just need to try hard and have willpower, right? That's the ego. You don't look good enough. You're gaining weight. You're ugly, blah, 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 all the BS, right? Lack mentality, need, you don't love yourself, unworthy. That's all ego, right? And so that voice literally governs us our whole lives until we start doing our deeper work and start learning about it and learn how to take our power back and spend more time living in our power, living out of our heart versus the mind. Okay. Very different energy, very different experience. I talked about that in episode 421 with the power leaks. If you haven't listened, go listen, right? This is a huge part of the coaching I do with my clients, is to teach you how to understand your ego mind, what triggers it, and how do you take your power back and navigate through it. Living in your power feels way more liberating, trust me, than living a full life in your ego. And you thrive more, and you deserve to thrive more. Another reason you're still stuck in sabotage with food, you haven't been taught about dopamine and brain chemistry and serotonin, and that a lot of us have low dopamine and serotonin, and then that makes us more highly likely to go into addictive behaviors or use quick fixes to cope, because you're literally chasing and anticipating a reward from food or alcohol or shopping or whatever it is. And then as soon as you start into the behavior, like giving them the debit card to pay for the purse or the first few bites of the chocolate or first drink of the wine, you get the most massive dopamine high, but it only lasts like 2 to 4 minutes, and then it goes away, and then you're like, regret. But we don't learn about this whole process and what suppresses dopamine and serotonin, and then it makes the urges to go for quick fix highs more easily. So if you don't know about this, how are you supposed to change it? And if we have gut issues and hormone issues and all these, we're eating a lot of processed foods and we're overbooked, we just suppress these mood boosting hormones and neurotransmitters even more. We don't want to do that. Something really cool is that when you get into a really beautiful self-care practice like meditation, breath, tapping, you can actually in a few moments start boosting your dopamine and serotonin levels. When I meditate, I can feel it shift so fast now. It never used to be at first. It takes practice, right? But it's just so liberating and freeing. to know that like I have the power to boost my dopamine and serotonin by going into a 10-minute meditation, by going out and sitting in the sun. Yes, the sun is good for us. No, you don't want to get a sunburn, but of course, whatever they seem to demonize more, like the sun or eggs, eggs are so good for us. We've got B vitamins, they're not bad for you. I get some people are allergic to them, obviously. But you know what I mean? Like whatever, to me, it's like whatever the media is telling you is really bad, probably it's the opposite from what I've learned, to be honest. Right? Whatever is getting the most heavily promoted on TV, probably it's the opposite that you want to give your money to. Food for thought. I've been posting some really cool reels, remix reels on my Instagram, and people are really loving it. They're like, oh my God, I didn't know Dairy Queen ice cream didn't have any ice cream in it. And it's literally water and like binders, artificial flavors, colors, sucralose, carrageenan, like it's literally not even food. And it is really horrible on gut and inflammation and the microbiome and all this stuff, right? Just people don't know the truth. They don't have the ingredients anywhere, and you just think you're going to get a good old ice cream. And yeah, you know, it's got sugar in it, but there's actually not really much for sugar. It's more so artificial flavors and sucralose and aspartame. It's horrible, especially here in North America, right? So I think it's important that we start to understand the depth to which these systems that be the food system, big food, big pharma, etc., designed food to mess with the dopamine and serotonin levels to make you addicted on purpose and to make you feel unwell on purpose so they could capitalize off of it. Because it is the truth. It's so easy to see. And here's some questions for you if that triggers you and or you're going, I don't know, that seems pretty, why would they want to do that? Okay, well, here's the questions. If they really cared and they were really in support of your greatest good, why are so many people so sick and unwell? Why are so many people struggling with binge and emotional eating? Why are so many people putting on protection so easily? Why are so many people brain fogged, exhausted, fatigued, and having intense cravings for sugar, salt, carbohydrates, etc.? Why can't people heal their stuff when they're going through Western medicine? And once they go to more natural, they finally have miracles happen, right? It's becoming so blatantly obvious now. I feel like people are really seeing and understanding the connections with all this. And there's more. It's not just food and pharma, as we know, right? But the dopamine serotonin piece is huge. And a lot of this processed lab-made food that we're eating is suppressing our mood. And so serotonin and dopamine, boosting the inflammation, messing with our gut flora, and that all impacts our mood. And then we chase the quick fixes and we want to eat it even more. So we break down and understand the different things that are, messing with your dopamine and serotonin, and we correct them and we support them. And I teach you how to raise them naturally. And then you don't desire to go to food for quick fix. And yes, you can still enjoy a beautiful piece of cake or a beautiful ice cream, or as, ideally, like probably just don't go to Dairy Queen. I mean, maybe there's gotta be, what I would say, support your local ice cream shop, support your local makers. They care. To me, it's like, give your money to them versus these big corporations that literally don't care, right? So we need to support the local economy more now than ever, the food makers, the growers, the farmers, everybody. So please try to support someone local today if you can, for your ice cream, for your carrots, your whatever it is, right? Vote with your dollars. Another reason you're still stuck in sabotage with food is because you haven't dealt with your body image triggers and struggles, the weight, body battle, the negative self-talk toward you, yourself, your body, and all aspects of you. It's very important that we work on this. I work on this with every single woman that comes to me that has body image issues, which I feel like we all have and we all do. So this is really important to deal with because it's triggering you to go into diets and restriction and punish yourself with that, or maybe mindless exercise, or maybe you have a healthy relationship with exercise, but you don't with food. And then you're being critical of your body and you're getting really hard on yourself. And then you lose control because you're fast, you can't follow through with it because you're trying to do it to lose weight and or have more control over your diet. And then you end up binging. So we need to address the body image triggers. We want to help you build body love and self-love. It feels so much better to live in your body and to love your body than to hate your body or dislike or reject or be critical. Your body will heal more efficiently as well. Because of course, the more we love ourselves, and of course it takes time to build the love and reconnect with it. It doesn't happen overnight, but you can and you do. And it's very incredible to experience self-love. It is so And then you stop relying on everyone else to make you happy, because it's actually your responsibility and it's a bonus for the external things in your life to make you happy. Another reason you're still stuck in sabotage with food is you aren't aware of, which foods are contributing to your spiral, or the addictive ingredients, or the nutrients that are going to help regulate your blood sugar, reduce your cravings. You're not aware of the physical symptoms like candida, adrenal fatigue, thyroid imbalances, etc., that are messing with your blood sugar and spiking your cravings and messing with your appetite levels. If you don't know your physical symptoms and imbalances and how they're tied into the emotional triggers and the sabotage with food, how do you shift it and heal it? And there's more, but I could go on all day and make this like a 12-hour episode. You guys would probably like, no, thanks. Or maybe some of you like it, but I'm not going to try. And the last one is, maybe you're really sensitive to energy and you're an empath and you're very intuitive and you've got all these energetic and spiritual gifts and you are terrified to embrace them, step into them. You have a fear of being judged, that people are going to be like, you're woo, that's fluffy, blah, blah, blah. Trust me, I've heard everything in the book. I really don't care. I'm proud to be woo. I'm proud to be very spiritual and empathic and energetic. I'm proud to be here holding the light and talking about ascension and the great awakening and all these incredible things going on. I have nothing to hide, no shame in the game. This is who I am. And as you build your self-worth, you build this confidence and you are proud, and we all get to be proud with who we are, and we all have a role to play, right? And that to me is just a much more freeing place to sit in. And I'm not going to sit here and force ascension on you or energy or anything. You can decide what you want to listen to and what you don't want to listen to, right? We all get to discover it for ourselves, but maybe I can help plant some seeds, and maybe there's certain things, that really interest you and others that don't, and that's okay. Take what's resonant and leave the rest, like I always say, right? But if you're really in this like fear of the unknown, who I'm going to be if I heal, who am I going to be if I embrace my intuition, my empath side, my intuitive gifts, how powerful I am. And I don't mean power like greed power, right? Because no, I mean like in your power, like confidence and love and respect and peace and compassion, right? That kind of power with self. It's incredible. But we can work on helping you embrace your intuition and empath, and we can help you manage your energy, and I can help you navigate through this time, because I know what it's like to feel a lot of things and feel the collective. And there are days where I can feel the collective and it's intense. And knowing how to manage that and having tools and practices really helps me to stay in my power. And I've been teaching my clients more of that. And I know I've had some of you book consultations and reach out lately that are desiring more of that. And I'm so excited because the healing gets to go to another level. And for those of you that aren't interested in that, the healing still gets to like go to the next level, and we don't have to go there, right? I respect everyone's background and viewpoints on that kind of stuff. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful to just witness you all on your healing journey, your up level, your upgrade, the expansion that is happening for you. So there's many reasons why you might still be stuck. Which ones resonated for you? Which ones do you want help with? Which ones are you feeling you're really keeping you stuck? And which ones do you feel like, I've actually dealt with that and I'm proud? Celebrate the shift, right? Celebrate that which you have already changed. So overcoming binge and emotional eating for good. Where do we start? First thing, go through the first part of this podcast, the 5 steps to take after a binge happens, and start practicing them regularly. Okay. That's the first step. Okay. The next, ideally, is write down the things that you feel are keeping you stuck in sabotage with food. Just be honest with yourself. The more soon you can be honest, the sooner you'll start shifting, changing, and healing. That's really important. Okay. And then it's to go, how long have you been struggling with this? Has it been years or decades? Has it been years or decades? And if you're going, yeah, it's like, okay, well, why do you think you're still struggling? What do you think is in the way? Are you in denial? Are you afraid to change? Are you continuing to procrastinate your greatest good? And you're going, I know I need help, but I'm not reaching out because I'm afraid, or I'm, afraid to put myself first and ask for help or invest or whatever that is. This is where having the consultation is so powerful, because I can actually coach you through that. And I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I'm just helping you see where your ego is making decisions instead of you and your heart. And then we clear the ego out of the way, and then you make the best decision that serves you in your heart. Whether or not that's working with me, it's not that, but you get to then make that decision. And if it's a yes, amazing. If it's a no, amazing. I know and trust you'll get the path and find the path that is best for you. But we want to get the ego out of the way. We want to get the fear of failure out of the way. And we want you to be able to make a decision and gain clarity and move forward to get the support or go on whichever path feels resonant for you. So maybe getting support is what's going to help you overcome binge and emotional eating for good, binging and purging, whatever it is. So reach out, book a 30-minute body freedom consultation, amberapproved.ca, right? Maybe you want to start diving into some self-study with the big birthday sale next week, 50% off everything in the online store. Oh my gosh, there's so many master classes, there's programs. It's so good. The membership, the food prep magic bundles, 50% off, 3 food prep programs. I think it's probably like $80. It's going to be crazy. You all are so lucky. I'm pumped to share all the deets with you next week. More deets. Maybe it's that you have just found this podcast and maybe you've just discovered that you're emotionally eating or binge eating. And finally you can like identify that's what it is. And so for you, it's about taking time to be patient and build awareness. Maybe you want to start with a self-care practice and you want to start dedicating 5 or 10 minutes a day, starting 3 or 4 days a week to start bringing in self-care, because you know that you've heard me talk about that. And that's going to help you get grounded, more in touch, build awareness, and start understanding your triggers, your emotions, and help you cope in a healthier way. And that may help you. Right? Maybe for you, it's hydration or sleep that you want to work on. Maybe for you, it is setting healthy boundaries and starting to say no and really working on the people pleasing. Actually taking your lunch break when it's lunchtime, right? And eating mindfully. Maybe it's mindful eating practice and you want to start slowing down with 1 meal a day and being present with no distractions and just interaction with others or yourself. Okay. And if everything I'm saying, you're like, nope, right? Great reason to reach out and get support. So where do you want to start? I feel like there's so much here, but we must be willing to address these things I've been talking about today that are resonant for each of us in order to fully overcome it, because there are so many things, as you always hear me say, that make this complex and make this so interconnected, and why it's not just as cut and dry as eating less and exercising more or going on a diet. Those things just don't work here. Right. And that is actually another reason why you might still be stuck in sabotage with food, is because you're continuing to convince yourself that there's some magic diet or magic pill or meal plan that's going to fix it all for you. And I'm sending you love, but it's not going to fix anything. None of that. All of that is very superficial and will not help you heal this deep emotional behavior. Right. If you want to get to the roots, physically, emotionally, energetically, and spiritually, if you are ready to really get your hands dirty and like really understand your triggers and really understand your ego and really overcome this, then you're in the right place. This podcast is here for you. There's over 400 episodes. One-on-one coaching is here for you. Like I said, $1,000 off of 6-month programs and $2,000 off of 1 year for a couple more weeks. Book your 30-minute body freedom consultation to secure that savings, or you can email me info@amberapproved.ca. We've got the 50% off coaching, or 50% not coaching, 50% off of birthday sale starting next Sunday. I cannot wait. And there's going to be some giveaways, I think, which y'all are going to love. Y'all, talking like I'm in the United States. I do love my USA neighbors. I love coaching you, and got some great friends in the States. And yeah, just, I feel like Canada and USA are like family. So yeah, we're all soul fam here. Right. So there's so many things available for you, and that I try to create to help you on your journey, because I want to help you however I can. So all the details are at amberapproved.ca/podcast/423. Everything is on amberapproved.ca. You can take the free emotional eating quiz if you're new to all this and you're wondering if you're struggling. The consultation booking page is there. And so is the podcast. I'm on Instagram, social media, if you want to come and connect and chat there, whatever you feel called to. And if it's just listening to the podcast for now, amazing. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm so grateful that you're here. And so I'm sending you all so much love. I'm cheering you on. Remember, there's no better time than the present to take action on your health, healing, overcoming emotional eating and binges, and taking steps to create food and body freedom for yourself. Have the most beautiful day. Have an amazing week. And stay tuned, because I'm going to be dropping all the juicy details on the birthday sale, the giveaways, all the great things that are going to be happening the week of July 9th, 16th, next Sunday. So stay tuned. Take care.